Hey y'all, good morning. Good morning, everybody. So, I just wanted to come and talk to y'all this fine morning or whatever. I was just thinking about some things or whatever, and I'm taking my hair down because I'm getting ready to wash it and go to work. So, while I'm taking my hair down, I guess we can kind of talk about it. So I'm gonna pin the link to the panel to the top of the comment section because this will be an open discussion, open panel. So anybody can join in to give their perspective or whatever. So, first thing I want to say, so when we look at any religious text, any Bibles from anywhere, right? We look at these religious texts as just storybooks. That's how they should be looked at, as storybooks, because these are stories that we weren't around for and we don't know if they're true. Every religious text is not factual, contradicts itself, and is written by humans. People who follow these religions wrote these things down. So, do we know if they made them up or not? These people who practiced the first religions, they wrote down what they believed, they wrote letters, and all of that was compiled into one book for each religion. And when I'm saying religions, I mean all religions, from those that we see as mythologies now and to the ones that are socially accepted because at one point in time these mythologies were the religions and they had their mythologies from older people in older times. So eventually, Christianity, Islam, being Muslim, all of that is going to become a mythology as time goes on. So, let me put a coal on the stove right fast, and then we can get into the conversation. Oh, okay, so first off, let's go over like the beginning of the world or whatever in the creation story. And it's not just going to be the one from Christianity. It's going to be from Hebrew texts and all this stuff. So when we look at the creation story, you have the creator, God, whatever you want to call it, he, she, her, or whatever, but created, the galaxies, the earth, the water, the sky, light, etc. Right? And then it created mankind, right? So when we look at like Hebrew texts and texts of Islam and stuff, they believe, or what's in the text during creation is that Adam and Lilith were the first man and woman, and they were made equally. Lilith did not come from the rib of Adam. She came from the same clay that God made Adam. So they were created at the same time and created equally. And so when it came time to repopulate, neither one of them wanted to submit in bed. And that was the argument they were having, right? So Lilith, not wanting to submit because they were created equal and she did not feel like she was less than, decided to leave. And she left the Garden of Eden, right? So then, Adam complained to his manager, God. And of course, the manager had sent some more employees, the angels, three of them, to go retrieve Lilith. And she was ducking and dodging, fool. She was ducking and dodging. She was doing what we call parthenogenesis and creating children on her own, right? So when we think about this, and we know that there was a first man and a first woman, I believe that Adam was a white man. And I'm going to correlate this all the way through. Okay. I believe Adam was a white man and Lilith was a black woman. Why? Because black women are the only women on the earth who have the Eve gene. Black women created humanity through parthenogenesis. Because the first woman on earth had to have used parthenogenesis, and that is something that is proven. Parthenogenesis is something that was used a very long time ago to create, because all you do is asexual reproduction. And once the mutation for men began, then they started sexual reproduction because they've always had the ability to do both, right? So, and as we know, the male combination is a mutation from being female, you know? So we already know this. So Lilith, being the black woman who did not want to submit, who felt she was equal, who felt that she could be a leader as well, left the garden and created children on her own who were then fully black people. She created the first African race, and those women were creating parthenogenesis, so they were creating more women until the mutation for being a man occurred, right? So let's continue, right? So the angels, on their way to get Lilith, they start killing some of her kids on the way. I don't remember exactly. I think they killed like 3,000 kids or 300 kids, something like that. It was three something. But they killed a lot of her children on the way to get her. They catch up to Lilith or whatever. And Lilith is like, okay, look at here, big dog. Y'all leave me the fuck alone. And since y'all killed my kids, I'm going to start taking other people's kids. I'm going to take Adam kids, right? So, they had made a little agreement or whatever. They gone about their ways. Hey, Rising. The link is in the comment section. We're just talking about the creation story right now. But so they're like, okay, cool. They go their separate ways. But Lilith go to Adam and steal his sperm in his sleep. Basically, Lilith had raped Adam because he was asleep. So Lilith mounted him, like she rode it and put him in a submissive position because that's how she wanted to be. She rode him like a rodeo and stole his sperm. And so then she ran off and she started having all these kids with Adam's sperm. So that would be the mixed population of people, right? Because Adam was white, Lilith was black, right? So they're creating what we would probably see as Asians, right? And the Spanish, and so they're creating all of those. Because when we look at the Bible, like I said, we look at it as a storybook. Hey Lima, and yes, I'm doing well, Rising. But we look at it as a storybook because we don't know if these are true. These are stories that everybody writes. And unless the time stamp is just extremely important to the storyline, they don't mention how long some of these situations lasted. So when you're reading the storybook, you're thinking that it's happening within the same day, but it really could, if you want to look back at it or look back at the story, it really could be happening within the span of days, weeks, or months. So she having the kids that she stole from Adam's sperm. So right, so God was like, okay, I'm gonna create a submissive woman. So he took from Adam's rib and created Eve, and I believe that Eve was the first white woman. Because at the same time, we're operating under the sense that Lilith is the first black woman, so she still came prior to Eve. They just call it the Eve gene because what's widely accepted right now is that Eve was the first woman. But in certain religions that are still accepted to this day, believe that Lilith was actually the first woman. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. That was my roommate calling food. Okay, but so where were we? Okay, so Eve was the first white woman. So she's submissive. Her and Adam create Cain and Abel. This would explain, listen, this would explain how the fuck Cain was able to reproduce. Because if it's only Adam and Eve in the whole fucking world, right? And they create Cain and Abel, that means Adam and Eve they either had other children that Cain procreated with, would be a full sibling, or Cain repopulated with Eve. And then their children repopulated together. Because guess what? That would be fucking impossible. Why? Because as soon as you repopulate, okay, first, if Adam has end up if Cain, right, end up being with one of his sisters, they create another full sibling. And so that child would be all mutated and fucked up and missing something. So if that child continued to procreate with another full sibling, or its father, its father brother, then their child would definitely be messed up and missing a whole lot of stuff. So then we wouldn't look like the way we look today. Or they made the first Neanderthals, because that's where white people believe they came from, was Neanderthals. So that's why they were uncivilized when African people met them. So let's go with that. They created first Neanderthals because the only one who left was Cain. So Adam and Eve continued to repopulate, and their children repopulated with each other, and they created the first Neanderthals. So Cain got banished from them or whatever, and he continued to travel the earth. So the kids that lived them created, like, black people, the Asians and stuff, because she stole Adam's sperm, and all of the Spanish. So the people that Lilith created, either by herself or with Adam's stolen sperm, that is who Cain. He repopulated with one of those people. Hey, Queen Cascade, how you doing, ma'am? Yeah, I'm just talking about this creation story or whatever. And when we look at the Bible and we really connect all the dots from all texts, this is the story that we get. Okay, so Cain go and repopulate with some of Lilith's children, right? And so as they're migrating through, as Lilith's children and the children that Cain create, as they're migrating through, because Lilith created men. Her children were the first people to create men from the mutation that we have now. Right? Because Adam and Eve created Cain regular. They had sexual reproduction. But because Lilith left Adam, right? He can't have no kids on his own. Men can't have kids on his own. So he had to have he had to have Eve created in order to have his own kids. But since Lilith had never procreated with Adam, she had the ability for parthenogenesis, which is something that is proven that was used eons ago. Because being a male is a mutation. So that's how we get that mutation. So black men were the first mutated males that came from Lilith and her children. And since, okay, let me finish the story before we really get into it, like the esoterical, how it connects to how we are today as a society, because all of this is going to connect. So, Cain started creating children with them, and they creating children within themselves and stuff. And so they start traveling out, right? They travel out, and they fucking they meet the Neanderthals, right? Black folks meet the Neanderthals that Adam and Eve created. Because remember, Adam and Eve, once Cain left, they had to make a daughter, and that daughter either had to procreate with another brother or with Adam. And we know what happens when you inbreed. They were the first inbreeders. That's why When we met them, they were Neanderthals, and we had to teach them how to bathe. Now, remember this: Adam was the original man, and he was the dominant one, right? Lilith was the original woman, and she was the dominant one. That is why the white man is the dominant one within his community, and why the black woman is the dominant one within her community. So once the Neanderthals that the dominant male gene created came into contact with the children that Lilith created, whether that be male or female, right? The white, they taught them how to bathe and stuff and all that good stuff. And of course, black men were sleeping with them, making children. So once they got the Neanderthal, the inbreeding genes faded out, that white man, that Adam, that dominant gene, then conquered the black man, because the black man had to submit to Lilith, because Lilith was not submitting with no man. So all of Lilith's children were not submitting to no man. That's why in a lot of when you go way back in a lot of African societies, the women were also pharaohs. The women also held high positions. The women were also leaders of tribes, because we are the dominant ones. Not masculine, just dominant. We have that dominating femininity that white women don't have. And that is what white men look for, because they have that dominant masculinity that black men don't have. If you got some pushback, hit the link. If you don't like what I'm saying, if you got pushback, hit the link and say what you got to say. But that's what I'm saying. When you connect the stories from every different religion, their origin story and stuff, the origin always starts with a woman. Because even when we look in Greek mythology and Roman mythology, what created the universe? Chaos. And what type of deity was chaos? A female deity. She was a dark feminine deity. Hey, Kelly Cash. So when we look back, everything was always created by women or feminine energies. So let's continue, right? Once they washed out that inbreeding, right, the white man became his dominant self once again and began to reconquer the world and be in control, because God told the white man and the black woman that here is the Garden of Eden. This is all yours, and you conquered animals, because Lilith was the first woman created, not Eve. But once Eve took her place, she submitted to Adam. Eve submitted to Adam. So that's why Eve and her descendants, the white women, benefit from patriarchy, benefit from what the white man or Dwight produces. Queen Cascade said, I don't think men understand that femininity is a spectrum. It moves and changes like an ocean, constantly changing and shifts in different environments. Exactly, Queen Cascade. And that is what I'm explaining is happening going on through the creation story. So hopefully for some of these men, it will click, but maybe it won't. That's why I wanted to have this conversation so bad with Suave, because I wonder what Suave would say. If somebody, let me text Suave and see if he's busy. Suave or Yehukanon, because I don't mind talking to Yehukanon, or Scheme, well, no, because Scheme ain't even really gonna be. He not good to talk philosophy and all that shit too. But let's continue, okay? So that's how the black man got reconquered, right? So that is how I believe the creation story went, and how when we look at all these texts, right? So let's get into the conquering of Africa, right? Which, if you was on my page the other day, we got into it. We went over like, what Africa looked like and all that good stuff, and how many countries are in Africa. Stop this. Stop. Okay, there we go. Okay, but yeah, we got into Africa, what Africa would look like, and how, you know, this goes into how we minimize Africa. So let's get the picture of Africa up first, right? Africa is a continent, right? Africa is an entire continent. And I think sometimes when we talk about Africa, we don't realize that because we do minimalize Africa. We minimalize Africa so much. And so, because we minimalize Africa, we forget how large Africa really is and what Dwight really had to do in order to conquer Africa, right? Because conquering Africa is not easy once you don't minimalize it. If we quit calling Africa, like, oh, black people need to go back to Africa, or we need to go over there and go to Africa and live our life. No, you need to pick a country in Africa, bro. Because I don't know, y'all don't understand that when you make goals, when you make plans, you have to make obtainable plans. That is how you plan correctly. You make obtainable plans, realistic plans, right? So a realistic plan would be, hey, I'm going to move to Sudan in the Juba area, and I am going to learn the culture. I am going to move up in rank because I bring from America certain skills that they need in order to be better. I don't want to say civilized because Africa is civilized. You have really big cities in Africa, but then you have some places that are going through so much war and strife and sickness and starvation that they need help. But we don't want to change their diet. We want to revert their diet back to what it was at first, because after sugar cane and stuff was introduced into the African culture, they began to have cavities because we had straight white teeth and weren't brushing our teeth eons ago because of our diet. So if we move everything back to organic, then boom, but that's an obtainable plan, bro. Y'all just talking about some, I'm just gonna go to Africa and live over there and do blah 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 blah. That's not obtainable. Y'all, if y'all are in the back chat, if anybody joins the back chat, since I'm looking at this picture, bro, type it in the comment section so I can see it. But look at this. These are all the countries within Africa. You have 46 countries within Africa. That is not a easy feat. That is not something easy to conquer. 46 entire countries. So when we think about Dwight and his conquering, right, these are the literal destroyer of worlds that we hear about in alien movies or sci-fi movies. Right? So once Dwight became dominant again after washing out the inbreeding from his generations, he was able to conquer the men that Lilith and her descendants created because the black man submitted to Lilith. The black man submitted to the black women who were creating women with parthenogenesis. They what was I about to say? I lost my train of thought. But they submitted. That's why black women are more dominant, and that's why black men submit. This is why black men want to nest in Dwight's community. This is the reason why black men want to go 50-50, don't want to provide and protect. This is why black men are derelict in the way they are today. Because when you look at creation, they have always wanted to submit. And that is why they were so easy to conquer. That is why they were so easy to conquer. And they brought their own downfall because you're helping a group of people who were Neanderthals. They had to be Neanderthals for a reason, right? And you awoken the dominant gene within that bloodline. And you contributed to your own downfall, but really not even downfall, because what you wanted to do was submit to that dominant gene. And that is why you basically washed it out. You washed out that inbreeding. But so when we talk about Africa, a lot of people minimize it, and really it gets viewed more as a state or something than it gets viewed as a continent. I need to finish taking down my hair because what the fuck. But a continent, and so that becomes an issue now, because when you talking about plans, when we talking about black men need to lead, they don't understand how to plan. They don't understand how to make goals, because in order to plan, in order to make goals, in order to do it efficiently, and for it to be possible, it has to be obtainable and realistic. It has to be obtainable and realistic. Maybe you don't know this because you didn't pay attention in class. Maybe you don't know this because you never had to teach budgets and economics and goals to people. But I had to teach budgets, economics, and goals to middle school age girls who understood it better than the boys. And that is why women mature faster than men, but black men mature the slowest out of every group. That's why they are so derelict. That's why they are the underdeveloped Dwight. Because Dwight has changed with the times, adapted with the times, and feminism was never a problem for Dwight. But because black men are so far behind, because they were dominated and they enjoyed being dominated, and then once they were done being dominated, they want to be dominated by women of no color. Now they are still stuck in an undeveloped Dwight. That's why they want to go back to the time where they could marry girls at younger and younger ages. That's why they want to go back to the time of domestic discipline or really abuse that was accepted. That's why they keep wanting to go back, because they have not matured. They are an underdeveloped Dwight. And for those who don't know, we use Dwight, the name Dwight, instead of saying the white man all the time, because like that's just too much. It's just a mouthful. We might as well just call him Dwight. But so when you minimalize Africa, let's get back on planning and goals. When you minimalize Africa, you make it seem like you can just go over there and conquer it. Like it's just a state. Like it's just an easy feat. And that's because they're underdeveloped. Hey, Swall.
What's good, Moonflower? What's
Yes,
good with you, say?
not everything is good. I've been wanting to have this conversation with you so bad, so I'm gonna start over.
Uh,
Like for real, because okay, so what I was just talking about right there is, don't you believe that we minimalize Africa?
that we what?
Minimalize Africa.
What you mean by minimalize it? Like downplay it?
Yeah, like downplay it. Because when we talk about it, and black men talk about going over there and conquering Africa and doing like pro black or whatever, they're looking at Africa more as a state. And I'm explaining that Africa is actually made up of 46 different countries. And that's not an
Hold on, I'm
easy
trying to put my
to go over there and conquer. But let me start over so you can hear what all I wanted to talk about. So basically, I'm connecting all. all the creation stories from different religions. Because when you look at religious or in religion or any type of religious text, it's really just a storybook that man wrote down as their account of what happened. So you have, it's not all factual. You have the emotions, you have the contradictions, you have letters from different people, and that's in every religious text. So when we look at religious texts, let's look at the Bible and let's look at Hebrew writings, right? In the Hebrew writings, they have that Lilith was the first woman to be created before Eve. So I believe that Adam was a white man and and Lilith was a black woman. They were created equally, and Lilith did not want to submit to Adam in bed. And so that was the rift in their relationship, and that is what caused Lilith to leave from the Garden of Eden. While Lilith was outside the Garden of Eden, she began to populate Earth on her own. She began parthenogenesis, which is something scientific that we know is factual, that we know eons ago women used to repopulate before we had the mutation of males, right? So Lilith is creating these women while the angels who God sent are chasing her. She's creating these women. These women then create the mutation of males. And since Lilith is a black woman, this is how black people were created. So black men were the first mutation of the female gene, right? And so Adam is over there complaining to God about Lilith leaving. They send the angels after her. They kill some of her children on the way. Blah 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 blah. They make a little deal or whatever, and they go their separate ways. And then Lilith then goes back to the to where Adam is. She grapes Adam because it said that while he was asleep, she mounted him and stole his sperm. So he was asleep the whole time. So she graped him because she wanted to be dominant in sex. So then she took Adam's sperm to back to wherever she was going, and she created people with Adam's sperm and parthenogenesis. So I believe that these people that she created with Adam's sperm would be what we would call the Spanish, the Asians, and blah 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 blah. So Lilith is out here creating her own people, right? So Adam then gets Eve made from his rib, and so Eve was the first white woman. Lilith is still the first woman who has the Eve gene. They call it the Eve gene because what is accepted is that Eve is the first woman. But when we look at these religious texts, they believe and they have written about Lilith being the first woman. So Lilith still has the Eve gene because she repopulated with parthenogenesis. But because Eve was made from the rib of Adam, she cannot create parthenogenesis, and that is why white women can only produce white children, and they can't produce a magnitude of shades and light skins and albinos like black women can. Okay, so they create Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel, right? So in order for Adam and Eve to keep populating, that means either Cain slept with Eve or Adam and Eve had a daughter that Cain slept with. But after Cain killed Abel, he got banished. So he done left, right? So he done met up with the people that Lilith created and the ones who created the first mutation of the male, and they start repopulating. But Adam and Eve, they continue to populate, and their children continue to either populate with Adam or each other. And that is how we get Neanderthals, because white people believe they came from Neanderthals, and we know that inbreeding causes mutations and things to be missing, and your brain cells and stuff don't function properly at 100%. So that's how we got Neanderthals. So as Cain is producing with the dominant male gene with the children of Eve, they come back to the Neanderthals, and black people taught the Neanderthals how to bathe, how to be civilized, blah 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 blah. But when they did that, they reawoke that original Adam gene, because as I said, Adam is a white man, Lilith was a black woman, and so they both were dominant over everything. Because in the creation story, God told them that you are, you own the earth, you own the animals. They're both dominant over everything. But Eve submits to Adam, so she can't be dominant like the black woman is. And then the black man submitted to Lilith and the women who created children from parthenogenesis. So that's why they're not as dominant as white men. And that's why when they taught the Neanderthals how to be civilized, they reawoke that dominant male gene. And then Dwight came back and conquered all of Africa, the 46 countries. What you think, Suave?
Very interesting. Shit. Nice job. Yeah, that's Lilith is the first. I didn't know they named her before they named Eve. Is that biblical or is that extra
No, it is
biblical?
biblical. It is biblical because when I was looking up, I was doing Lilith for my the baddies of mythology story, and I came across some Hebrew text that mentions Lilith being the first woman. And then after Lilith fled and he told the whole story about the angels, it gave their names and the deal that they made and how she raped Adam and stole his sperm. It gave everything.
Yes, I ain't never hear that. But yeah, the first person being a black woman, yes. Parthenogenesis, yes. Nice explanation of how the other races came along. Um, yeah, yeah, that lines up pretty logically. You know, I mean, of course, it's biblical names and stuff like that. So, uh, that lets you know, like you said, where it comes from. Like the mythology or legend, or you know, people attempts to try to record things, and then keep it modernized and updated. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it sounds like a funky story. Sound like a real funky story, and it makes sense because getting put out of the garden and not having nobody else. Yeah, but I fucks with Parthenogenesis. A lot of motherfuckers want to act like that shit ain't real.
Right. And I believe that the only women who can't will be white women because they were created submitting to Adam and they don't have that Eve gene. But so we were just talking about so next we're talking about Africa. So after the black man reawoke that dominant male gene or whatever, the white man or the white conquered Africa. He went through and conquered the 46 countries of Africa and to this day holds dominance over the world, right? And that is I feel like that is why in society when we look at the psychology of Dwight, Becky, and then black men and black women, that's why that black women are dominant within their community and we basically have a matriarchy, and then Dwight is the dominant one within his community and he created a patriarchy, so we have a matriarchy within a patriarchy. So it's still the people of Lilith fighting against not wanting to be conquered by the people of Adam. How you feel about that?
Yeah, I had said, I think, okay, beautiful oatmeal there. Yeah, I had said, like it's real conceivable. You try to make sense of how did the world get like this? How are these powers in place? And what's the backstory? Some gotta be. It don't completely make sense. Like, how did a minority of people gain so much control over a majority of the earth?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the battle behind that? And I said, man, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like some, I mean, ancient, lineage of fucking like African women, like black women. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's fighting and using the white man even as a buffer between them and society. And um, like I can't imagine. I try, but yeah, I said I sure the fuck did say that. Like it could be like but because the way that I look at stuff and the way that relationships form, like a nigga, a nigga get up like okay, like your parents to teach you, wash your face, brush your teeth, wash behind your ears, eat something healthy, go out, take a job, and so you maintain those things. But
Right.
it's like what pushes you is like the woman. It's your woman who say, "Then you only gonna brush your teeth once. You can't jog longer. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Exactly.
the woman that improves and see the little things in you and want more or not settle or whatever it is, and the nigga is settled. Like shit, is the bills paid? Is everybody full? Then I'm finna sit my ass down. And the woman
Right.
like, well, we have to store for next month, and now it's all these men warring throughout the world because they woman is telling them, damn, you gonna let George get more land than you? Think about it. 200 years from now, you'll just be in this look. And so they like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like your
Right.
woman not respecting you because there's somebody else out there with more land, more artillery, more employees, more money, more power, more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that's completely conceivable to me.
And now when we look at like dating articles and things like that, I believe that's why Dwight often reports that he feels um unsatisfied in his relationships with Becky's, because since
Hmm.
Becky's were made to submit from Adam's rib, they don't know how to do that pushing. They don't know how to be
Yeah,
dominant. They don't know how to, try to help lead. They only know to submit. But when we look at these dating articles, they say that white men feel more fulfilled with black women because they continue to push them and tell them, hey, we need this. No, you need to do that. You can't sit around and do this. And I believe that's why we
hmm
have a rift between black women and black men, because black women are dominant. But since black men are seeing the white being dominant, they feel like they want to be dominant too, but they can't. But then when they go over into Becky's community, we actually see these men submit to Becky. They say they want to be dominant, but then they submit to a woman who has money, who will
they
allow them to
submit to they submit to the system that empowers the Becky. So
right.
they know they gotta play through Becky to
Yep.
be legitimately respected or earn as much as somebody else. This and the other. Yeah, I completely get that, and it's I mean it's something about the ability to be able to create a baby and push that motherfucker out that just won't let you settle. You know what I'm saying? It's something about having that power. Like niggas don't understand that. Like you don't sit up here and like make a whole life push that motherfucker out and be like, well, I guess I'll just sit back down. Like no, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something that'll motivate you as well. What else can we do? How far can we go? Like as a man, I can't, act like I got the mind of a woman, but I can imagine that, even as a man, when you find out you can lift a couch by yourself, it
Mm,
make you want to lift two. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So it's like with that ability, that power to create that a woman has, that's what she's going to do. She's going to create. She's going to develop. She's going to mature things, shape things, and yeah, I can see that. For the time that I'm in here, like the white woman has been the barefoot, pregnant, shaking, scared to speak
Yep.
back to her man, not really knowing nothing, just sitting in the corner shivering. And that's not the type of woman, you know what I'm saying, that a man wants. A man want a woman that, you're not useless. You're not just another. Same way a woman look at a man. Like I don't want you to just be another responsibility, another child. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can
And
see that.
do you need me to pull up that picture of Africa once again, Suave?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because when I was on my stream, we did this. We pulled up Africa and we sat there and I wrote all the countries down and counted them.
Mm.
I was high as fuck though. I'm high as fuck now.
I'm kind of fucking man. I kind of drunk too much last night. I woke up late as hell today, man. But
Man, hell no. They
I'm
had us in the
cool.
motherfucking field and shit, sleeping outside and shit. Man, I drove all the way to Kentucky to my friend's house and took a shower. I said, "Who the fuck y'all think y'all is?" Snuck off the base, school, snuck off the base, and snuck back on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jail. Shout out to the military life.
My oh god. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
man.
this is the continent of Africa, and we need to stop minimalizing Africa. Africa is an entire continent, bro. Like Europe
Hmm.
is an entire continent. We need to stop minimalizing Africa. Africa is huge. So for Dwight to sit here and conquer 46 countries after you as the black man talk read they you help them wash out the inbreeding that they had from Adam and Eve. You help them
Mhm.
learn how to be civilized, and you help them awaken that dominant gene, which led to your downfall. And I believe that's why when we talk about Africans and black men, that I believe that's why they had the shortest reign of all people,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
they
Africa is actually is huge as shit. The history is very lengthy, and I mean I use the word history loosely because, like, uh, to me, history is just when white people start recording what was going on from their perspective. They really like abandon and ignore all of the recordations of what happened in time. If they can't manipulate it and put it in their information and change the names and characters and stuff like that, they really don't care or value it. But yeah, it's a nice ass place with a lengthy history, man. Real interesting. And I see what you're saying about minimalizing it. And on the opposite end of that, romanticizing it. You know what
hell
I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, so I mean, just to keep shit real in the logical area, like, yeah. And I know a lot of those wars still are being fought.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people don't understand that these Africans that's fighting these wars between each other and even mixed groups or the white people, this shit is like 1,000 years old.
Hell
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like when you read history, they tell you, oh, we couldn't go into the middle of Africa. They just got into the middle of Africa. Like
Yep.
I think it's still places in the fucking Congo in the middle of Africa that they haven't walked into.
Yeah, because
You
there's
know
a
what I'm
lot of
saying?
untapped, untouched civilizations that have never been
Yeah,
interacted with.
yeah. And they know they got it because that disease shit.
Yep.
That disease shit, introducing yourself into a new environment, new people, them germs.
The
That
giant
shit is
and even
harsh.
the food that we eat, because I was explaining earlier that back eons ago, black people, we ate or Africans really ate such a diet where their teeth did not rot and decay and they didn't brush their teeth. They had straight white
Hmm.
teeth. But when white people and Western society introduced sugar cane and bleaching products and flour and things of
Hmm.
that nature, it caused a degradation of their body and their teeth. And you see that when you look at the pictures. I can't remember if it was you who showed the pictures or if it was Queen Cascade. By the way, Queen Cascade said happy Sunday to you and Katrina.
Thank you, sis. Shout out to the queen. You already know. Yeah, I spoke on that too. Like, when you eat from the trees that grow in the region of the earth that's biologically in tune with you,
Mm-hmm.
you get superpowers, is how I put it. The ability to remember more, better vision, stronger muscles and bones, and you just have more of an intelligence. And when you get off of that diet, your body dumbs down, especially when you get
Exactly.
on that flesh diet, because the albinos, who I believe the white people came from, but just to get, okay, white people, like, in that region, like, the food harmed them. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like, if you're getting burned by sunlight, and then food intake sunlight, and then you eat it, what do you think it's gonna do from the inside? And it's
Exactly.
being sitting here just charging up off the sun, and then you eat it, and it's like, damn, I got
You ain't got no
ulcers and
melanin
stomach.
mm-hmm. No
You know what I'm
melanin to
saying?
protect
So
yourself from that
yeah,
stuff.
so they had to live by a different set of rules. They had to live by a different set of rules. They had a different relationship with Earth or the universe than we did. And
Mm-hmm.
so when they start compromising for it, and we start adapting their system of compromising for, then we dumped ourselves down. We handicapped ourselves.
Yep.
We made ourselves weaker. So
Yep. And that's exactly fucking right. Yeah. And the thing about it is, even now, white people still have some type of melanin, but it's not as
mhm,
much as black people. So that's why they're not having those same effects or lesser effects than the
yeah,
albinos. It's not as severe because white people have developed the ability to hold certain
Yes.
small percentages of melanin.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. And you know what I'm saying? Like the breeding they've been doing, they've been becoming more stable, where things destroy them less. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
that's just how shit goes. Like as a people, you gotta mature. The thing with white people is they was like the baby with the gun. You know what I'm saying? Like an adult has a rational, like, you know, a baby doesn't. A baby gets upset, boom, you're dead. You're dead. I want this. Boom. You know, so that's what I'm looking at it like the immature people of the world with the power. Like we did that. We we gave people responsibilities and powers and abilities before we made sure that people was mature enough to not want to steal, kill,
Mm-hmm.
rape, and destroy. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
as a child, you don't want to work. You don't want to, things are supposed to be sitting under the Christmas tree for you because you're cute and a bundle of fucking joy. So
Yep.
it's like, when you don't get what you want, what will you do to get it? And I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna say this motherfucker hit me, knowing I started this shit.
Right.
But my parents is here, so I'm gonna say he hit me, and all I did was ask to play with the toy. Say, can we share it? And then this nigga get a whoop, and they take the toy, give it to you, and that's what the world was. So yeah, that's that's pretty fucking interesting to me, man. That's crazy. You come to the correlate, a lot of things I correlate with what I process. I mean, but it's kind of logical. If you just think, critically thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you prove it? How do you make it 100% definitely true? I don't
You
know.
you can't, but because we have so much circumstantial evidence, you can believe that it could have happened just with a shadow
Hmm.
of doubt.
Yeah, that's what I say. Even if it's a theory, it's the best theory. You
Right.
explain to me what happened, because I know people come from vaginas. I know the first vagina was black. That you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
what you gonna say after that? What you gonna say after that? Yeah, that's crazy.
Exactly. And so, um, yeah, and I was about to say that's why I decided to connect the dots from different religions and different what we
Hmm.
call mythologies, because at some point in time it was a religion, and there were other religions that were considered mythologies, and maybe one day will be a mythology. But that's why I decided to connect the dots between the religious texts, the mythologies, and really just go in depth about it. And you know what? I'm really glad that the ladies wanted me to do that series of the baddies of mythology, because I probably wouldn't have come across this if I didn't do it.
Hmm. Not at this time in the way that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope. And it has been like, I mean, the religious area, they downplay women. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They the cause of all the problem. They ain't never did nothing good. And we know that's not true.
But
You
I
know what
think
I'm
this is
saying?
why they
So,
downplay women, though. I think this is why. Because they know that the original woman, Lilith, the black woman, has the dominant gene and actually dominates men as well as the dominant gene in men. So that's why they downplay women, because they know that we dominate.
and I mean, let's put it on the table. Like, what's the dominant gene? That's a better relationship with God. That's a
Yep.
relationship with the Creator. It's a spiritual power. Like, men don't catch the Holy Ghost. Women catch the Holy Ghost.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't be seeing men shaking and falling out in church. Women do that shit every Sunday. And
And
then
then,
get up and go home and cook like it ain't shit. Like, nigga, did you just reach the spiritual plane and talk to the Creator and then got off the floor and went home and
yeah.
watched Maury
And
Povich?
that
Like,
and
if
that's
you
why
don't.
we can do that, because we got that dominance. And then on top of that, I believe that that's why well, when you go back through every mythology, creation always starts with a woman. Because when we were
Mhm.
going back Roman and Greek mythology, the first deity in the world was chaos, and chaos was a feminine deity. When you go back in the Bible, the women created. Every text
Mhm.
somehow starts with a woman, but then people perceive it as starting with a man.
Mhm. And then when Eve gives Adam the apple, right? That's supposed to be a horrible thing.
Yes, and that was the white woman's mistake. And that's why
And then,
white women have to keep submitting. They're not allowed to be dominant.
but that was that intelligence cut off to everybody on Earth or just the people in the garden?
Just them, because Lilith already had her own children outside of the garden. We didn't eat the apple. We never ate the apple. That's why I never
Yeah.
understand why black people keep saying we're cursed. We did not eat the apple. That's why we are the chosen ones, because us and our ancestors and our descendants did not touch that apple.
And you
That's
could
why
tell it. You
the
could
garden is
tell.
still hidden in Africa.
That's why what?
That's why the Garden of Eden is still hidden in Africa. It's in one of those places that have been untouched by Africa,
Mm,
somewhere in the middle. And that is why it's still hidden. That is why we haven't found it. Because I remember reading in a history book years ago that they had found what they thought was Moses' burial grounds, but they
mm-mm.
still haven't found the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. And if you look at the earth, you still see naked black people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't see naked white people nowhere on earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's people that still like obey the creator how it was in the first place. Like, yeah, I'm not ashamed of my nakedness. I don't give a fuck about this. I'm intelligent. I'm a hunt. I'm gonna build a house. I'm gonna raise kids. And it, it's not that dummy. Or I don't know what. Like you're a goat. It's not like you're a goat or a monkey or some shit. Like you're very intelligent, but you don't have that shame. You
Right.
don't have that embarrassment. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks a lot to me because that's what the culture was then, and that shows that we had people there.
Mm-hmm.
Other groups of people didn't have people there. Hey, the only motherfucker walking around naked on earth is dark skinned people.
Yep.
Because they never evolved from that culture. Some of those people chose to stay there. Like your great grandmama from Mississippi, she'll never leave Mississippi. And then your mama moved from Mississippi, came up north, got a job in the city, and she'll never leave that. And then your ass moved down to Atlanta because it was popping, or out to Florida or something. So as generation go, there's always a sector of that people that stay complacent in that, and that's like a history marker. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, we
Mm-hmm.
was there too. We was there too. So yeah.
And so I believe that's also why when we look at the statistics today, black women are the highest increasing demographic of entrepreneurs and education. I
Hmm.
believe that's why as well, because when we tie it all together and we go all back, we're the children of Lilith, and we never ate the apple. So I feel like we're reverting back to that
Hmm.
knowledge because since we had the white man conquering us or Dwight, we couldn't access it. But now that we can access it, and
Hmm.
even when we were dominated because of the men, we still were the ones who decided, hey, we're gonna put maps in our braids. We're gonna put pieces of rice and pieces of corn in our braids, so when we go out and we
Hmm.
leave, we can eat. Women created that,
Hmm.
so I feel like
Yeah,
women.
it's always the oppressed. Like women were openly oppressed. So when that door got open, they went extreme. Like, I want to drive. I want to go to school. I want to be a nurse. I want to do all this shit that motherfuckers told us we couldn't do for the fact that we couldn't do it. And we know we can. You know what I'm saying? It's like sitting here watching. Like I think about it. So it's like in the past when men used to go out and put deer blood on them and shoot a couple shots in the
Mhm.
air and come back home and act like they was at war all day. Like, nigga, you been getting drunk and having gay sex, and then you put some deer blood on your clothes, shoot a couple shots, put some dirt on your face, come back, act like you done saved.
Fool,
You know what I'm
you
saying? Y'all out there
off
playing.
guard. You said out there.
Yeah, it's like the Civil War was fake as fuck. Like, y'all ain't out here killing each other. Y'all politicking, partying, and then go home and tell the children and the women like we defended the
How
South
you
again.
were born, you went home, bitch. Make it make sense.
Like, ain't it? Ain't it?
Hey, who is
Hey,
Jethro Mullet?
just
Who?
throw Mullet.
Yeah, who is that?
Oh, he been around. That's fine, Bell.
Big
He
dog,
been
go back
around.
and watch the beginning because I literally just said that Earth was not populated through incest. It was populated through Lilith, the first black woman, and black men.
Parthenogenesis.
Yeah, parthenogenesis, and that black men were the first mutation of female. That's why you would be the first male that was created through
Hmm.
parthenogenesis. But Adam, being a white man and having Eve submit to him, they populated with Neanderthals because they had to populate through incest. And once the African people, the children of Lilith, found the children of Adam and taught them how to be civilized, that is why the children of Adam were able to conquer the children of Lilith, because the children of Lilith's men were submitters and the women were the dominant. So that's what I explained. So maybe you should go back and watch the beginning. But yeah, that's what I was explaining.
Yeah, you have a whole group of people who, we eat from the trees, we drink from the river, we build our homes from the plants. Like we didn't have to kill and conquer and destroy. You know what I'm saying? Like the creator provided everything for us. So when you get a person, they say, why I can't be out in the sun like them? Why I can't eat the food like them? Why I can't be a brother to the animals like they are?
Hmm.
That creates something within you. Be like, well, this how I'm gonna move then. And so
And
you
that's
have to hunt.
and that's why when we look back in history, the first doctors were women. The first doctors were women. And we know this because those women who created medicine and who helped people, they were then condemned as witches. And then once they started having people thinking that if women were smart or if they practiced medicine they were witches, then men took over the medicine field. And that's how we have the field now where being a doctor is male dominated.
And there was never a male witch hunt.
Nope. Because even the men who were like warlocks and stuff, they weren't burned at the stake. They weren't hanged. They were like put in jail.
Ain't it? Motherfuckers was wrote about.
Yep. Like
Motherfuckers
I
was
read that in a book. I can't remember what book it was, but I was doing some research on the Salem witch trials and stuff.
uh,
And the dude, it was one witch who got sold out by a man who they were saying was a warlock, and she was hanged, but he was just jailed for like 5 years.
damn. Yeah. That should be real with them. That should be
So they
real with
used
the
those
women,
women to
man.
learn medicine and profit off of them, and then killed them to tie up loose ends, basically. Because the guy who created the witch hunts, he just didn't like women. But because he created it and he just didn't like women, those other men under him who allowed that shit to continue, they used it for their own gain to be the ones who practice medicine instead of the women, and then punish the women for doing so. Because even when they went to these so-called witches for the illegal abortions for their daughters, they still came back and killed them. They still snitched on them afterwards, and just was like she performed a unconsented abortion on my daughter. And then men learned how to do the illegal abortions when women needed them as we got more civilized.
Hmm. Yeah, that just show you ain't no cheat code, man. You gotta know the sciences. You gotta know the sciences. You gotta know the relationship between the human body and plants,
Hmm.
and the relationship between plants and elements. You know what I'm saying? And how to infuse elements into certain plants and then use those plants to make paste or powders or creams or, soups or liquids or solids, and the relationship it have with your body. And
And I
motherfuckers looked at that shit as witchcraft.
Right. And that's why white people's witchcraft or pagan witchcraft isn't as strong as black women's witchcraft or voodoo. Because we're tapping into the direct descendants of Lilith while they're doing a cheap knockoff. And that's why they can only do medicine. But we were able to actually curse people. Because when they were like starting the slave trade, they said that the tongues of the women were cursing the men and they were dying. So they cut out the tongues of the women so they couldn't access the original language or pass it down. That's why our witchcraft is so in tune.
Shout out to witchcraft. Yeah, that shit disrespectful. And then I mean, I understand the society we in, but it just get to the point like, how you let a motherfucker underrepresent you on your planet?
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere you turn around, ancient white people. Oh, this other shit. You need something gas station, man?
Is that Katrina? Tell her I said hey.
Moonflower said, hey. Queen Cascade said, hey. Baby. She
How you
said,
doing?
hey. And she thinking, nah. What?
What
Okay, I'm gonna get you as a deck of cards. Okay.
but
Okay,
so
baby.
far, I got a question.
Let's go.
As a man, if you were conquering a group of people, would you give that group of people that you conquered, who had their own religion prior to you, an inspirational book that says that they are the chosen people of your God?
Hell nah. Shit.
And that's why I don't believe in the Bible. Because why the fuck would Dwight give black men a book, an inspirational book that tells black men they are the chosen one? That's why I don't believe they read the Bible correctly. Because that's not even your God. That's Dwight's God that he
Yeah,
created.
yeah, that's a
You
fact.
had
But
your
they had to
own.
do something. Cause the
Yeah,
whole setup about the Bible, like, yeah, the Bible will say you the chosen one, but listen to the verbiage like you're chose. Okay, so who am I chose by? Shit,
Dwight.
God. Say the whites. I mean, to tell the truth.
Because they
But
associate God with whiteness. Dwight told them
absolutely.
that God was whiteness. So you were chosen by Dwight. I don't believe that a lot of the Bible is like exactly what happened. I think it's more so analogies, metaphors, and for
Yeah.
history. I think this is the real conversation that they were trying to hide, because this shows when you connect all the text, it gives you a full story. But if you only read the Bible, or you only read the Quran, or you only read this and you only read that, you will never get the full picture. Creole, Atlantic, whatever, that's not even a conversation we having. So you could really just shut up. And yeah, they did introduce the Bible to you, and that's why you were conquered. Because Lilith, the original woman, was a black woman who was able to do parthenogenesis and created the black man from a mutation, and you submitted to her. And Adam, the white man who had the dominant gene, had Eve to submit to him. They created Neanderthals. You took it upon yourself to re-civilize the Neanderthals and reawaken that gene, and that is why they went on to fucking conquer you, because you are submitters. That's why you don't mind nesting in other men's community. That's why you don't mind not having generational wealth. That's why you make goals that are unattainable and unrealistic. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, because when I was talking about Africa Suave, I was telling you,
Uh,
I was telling them that when these black men talk about, oh, we just gonna go over to Africa, conquer Africa, and help the Africans get the white people out. When you make goals, you're supposed to make obtainable, realistic goals. That is not realistic, because
mm-hmm,
Africa is a continent. Now, if you say that I'm gonna go to Nigeria and go into one of the cities and help the people in the cities learn how to do this and do economics and do politics, I'm gonna help them move up, and I'm gonna move up in rank and become a councilman and change it. That is something realistic. That is something
mm-hmm.
obtainable. So if everybody were to choose a city in Africa to go to, okay, that's a realistic goal. But saying you just gonna go to Africa and get the white people out, that is not realistic, because there are towns that white people created, the South African white people created, that do not allow black people in their towns. You can go in there and you can build their
Mm-hmm.
houses, but you cannot live
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, people got to have a real grasp of what life is and stop fucking living in fucking fairy tales. Like, it's Africans out there that'll kill you over them crackers. You know what I'm saying? You can't go out there to, oh yeah, we finna run them up out of here. Nigga, you'll get to a certain
right,
point, you know, you're gonna have to kill other black people. They
right.
don't understand. They
And
ain't looking at that shit like, you know, they brought us science. They brought us water, electricity. They ain't looking at them like, oh man, they stealing our resources and all this shit.
Right.
Nah,
They're
that's a
not looking at
privileged
them with a
perspective.
fucking conquering mindset. You looking at them like you Barney. Talking about sharing is
Yeah.
caring.
Remember they looked at them as saviors. Remember they used to get in bowls of food and at the bottom was white
Mm-hmm.
Jesus and shit.
Yep, and thought they was thought never seen what, so it's just so much. And 87 Freckles said, do you think because Lilith was Adam's first wife, who is the black woman, that white women are jealous and envious of black women, and that's why white women try so hard to emulate black women because we're Dwight's original preference? Yes, I do believe that. Yes, we are Dwight's original
Yeah,
preference. Eve is secondary
like I said,
because
I
Lilith
think
is
all
the
of that.
first black
I th- yeah, I think all of that. It's no absolute, but yeah,
woman.
it's
Right.
it's the same because when you the first, anybody that comes after you has to really do what you did. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you would look at it like, why you copying me? But what is a white woman supposed to do? But look
Thank
at the
you.
women that's
Because her
already
image,
there and say, yeah, they supposed to follow y'all. They supposed to copy y'all. They supposed
yes.
to look at y'all and mimic y'all. But
Mm-hmm.
the black woman to look at this bitch trying to be like me. Woo, 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 woo. You know what I'm saying? She need to get her own shit trying to take my man and then. But that's like your little brother and little sister, and you get mad at them like, why you following? Nigga, I don't know nothing else. Who else I'm
Right.
supposed to look at and say this is what life is?
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
the thing about it is that's why they're always going to try to emulate us. That's why they're always going to try
Yeah,
to beat us because they were created to be submissive. We were created to dominate. That's why we dominate trends. That's why white women can't create children who come out the womb with rhythm. We are in tune. We never ate the apple. This is still part of the white woman's curse for giving Adam the apple. This is still a part of her curse. We don't need what they have, but they need what we have. They're still cursed. That's why I hate when black folks be like, we're the cursed people, we're the cursed people. Bitch, black women ain't the cursed people. We are the children of Lilith. You might be cursed because you decided you wanted to take your ass over to Eve's children and fuck on Eve's children. So you might be fucking cursed, but we're not.
say your kids might be cursed.
Thank you.
Goofy ass.
Because you decided to go over there with a submissive. Two submissives is not gonna create a dominant. That's two recessive dreams. It's not gonna create a dominant. That's why
Yeah,
you
that's not how life
and
goes.
black men's biracial children don't have the same attributes as black women's biracial children.
Mm.
U.S. Atlantic Creole Nation, we don't give a
Yeah, it's not the
damn.
same.
We're not even talking about what we talking about in the video. We don't give a damn. This is a pseudo conversation. You could take your ass on somewhere.
Well, somebody get mad, they ain't got no
Mine just talking about
good thing
some
with a
swirl
source.
and swirl and all this other shit and shut the fuck up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, shout out to the people, man. But yeah, it's real interesting. That's why I say, man, if you could step away from yeah, if you could step away from like the earth and just look at history, it's a beautiful thing. It's just fucked up that, we the ones that went through it and we emotionally attached to the victories and the defeats. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? And it's like my pops killed your pops, so I can't talk to you. When I'm the
Hell
niggas that
yeah.
need to
Like
talk.
that Romeo and Juliet shit. The families were so uh mad at each other, but they didn't even remember why. They didn't even
You
know
see
why.
what I'm
They didn't even know
saying?
why they was beefing.
It
They
don't
just
even
they
matter
was
no
beefing.
more. Yeah, that's a fact. And everybody's scared to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. I'm not mad at you.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't do shit to me. And then it's so many
Thank you.
people. It's like, where do you say that at? Because America is like, what they call like, America is a horror house. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
a
it's
melting
no
pot.
uniformity. Yeah,
Yep.
everybody's supposed to
Because we
just
don't
come
even
here and be.
America doesn't even have an official language. Yes, the dominant language we use in America is English, but that is not our official language because we accept people of all languages, all denominations, all beliefs. So if we had an official language, that means that America would then begin discriminating. So we don't have an official language. That's why we have no organization. That's why we have no type of formality. Is because we accept everything in America. But if you want to become a citizen
Yeah,
of
it's real
France,
funny.
you have to learn French and you have to pass a test.
So motherfuckers over here don't even know English. They over here running stores and shit, telling your ass,
Hell yeah.
no look, nobody. Bitch, what the fuck is you saying? You
Thank
just
you.
learning basic scrap English and shit, becoming 100,000 there over here. And niggas is so whatever we is because like like I'm about starting our own nation. And America
Mm-hmm.
is the best nation to start that in. Like you telling me
Exactly.
hundreds of years later,
And that's why America is
no
falling
nation
apart.
has risen out of America? Huh?
Thank you. I said that's why America is falling apart from the inside because we don't have that proper structure like other countries. And on top of that, this would be the best place because of the fact that America is surrounded by water. It's harder for other people to come and conquer us. That's a deterrent. Us being surrounded by water is a deterrent from war from other countries. That's why we haven't been
Mm-hmm.
invaded the way that Ukraine has been invaded. So America, in a time that we are in right now, where it is falling apart from the inside, this would be the best time to create our own nation and to break away from the United States the same way that the Confederacy broke away from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it would actually
And the
benefit
United States
us
should
to
be
allow what you were saying.
I'm saying, and the United States should be supportive of that.
Yes,
You
that
know
it
what I'm
would be.
saying? Like, yeah, all these other countries you help develop and maintain, you telling me that out of all these years, America hasn't created another nation? Like, no nation has offsprung from the
Thank
greatest nation on earth.
thank you.
what,
And
what
that's
is
how
that
more
about?
men need to think though. That's how because you got to think in that conquering mindset. You got to know that you got to let some people go. Some people got to die, fool. And I believe that, like I said, even in TV shows, they understand that black men are too afraid to lead, and they need somebody to really just be on their fucking ass because they don't want to have to kill. They don't want to have to steal. Like you have to. You have to conquer, bro. You gotta make people. You gotta take shit and you gotta make people believe what the fuck you believe. You gotta manipulate. You gotta fucking lie. But motherfuckers too shaky to take that step.
Come
They
on,
want
fly.
shit to be. They think they gonna go to Africa and them Africans just gonna be like, yay, the people that were stolen came back and we're gonna put them in office immediately. No, bitch. You gotta work. You gotta have a plan that's realistic and obtainable. And y'all talk about black women being emotional and all that other shit, but you are the emotional ones. You are the ones that always making goals that are emotional and unobtainable and unrealistic. Come on now, learn something from us. Since we the highest demographic that's educated. Come and learn something for us. What is you talking about? Catch up. Catch up. If you really want black women to stay with y'all ass, catch the fuck up. Cause honestly, we wasn't even created for you. You need to compete. Catch up.
If he get the quality women, if you want the
Hell
quality
yeah.
women to stay around,
Thank you. You need to catch up. You need to compete with men. Don't compete with women. Compete with men. That's why I can have these conversations with you, Suave, because you don't compete with me when we have these conversations. We are able to be open and honest and lay everything out and be open to contradictions or different conversations instead of competing with.
mm-hmm,
And don't know
mm-hmm.
female or a nigga that's gonna compete with them at all. That shit is not masculine. That shit is not manly. Like that one dude that
Now that's
Sim
a fact.
played talking about some, oh, most of you bitches, I look better than most of you bitches in my comment section. Most of you bitches look like men and blah blah blah. Why are you competing with men with women? Why are you saying you look better than a woman? Why would you want to look better than a woman? That's feminine. That's masculine. That's competing with a bitch. Compete with a nigga. Compete with a man. Get your life together. Go in the corner and think about your motherfucking life. Because this will be the one and only time Moonflower will ever help you try to develop a plan. You got a question, hit the link. Because this will be the one and only time that I will grant you what a semblance of an olive branch.
All my life.
Motherfuckers downplay me because I'm young, but guess what, bitch? I read. I'm an avid reader. I've been reading since preschool. Since I was reading before I even went to school, because my mama and them was making me learn. I'm in daycare getting homework. Because my mama and my daddy made me learn how to read early. My mama and daddy made sure I had what I needed. Well, really, my daddy and my grandma. My daddy and my grandma made sure I had what the fuck I needed to be successful and to get up there. Hey, Chris, go ahead, hit the link, Chris. But my daddy and my grandma made sure. So don't downplay me because of my motherfucking age. Just know a bitch can read. A bitch been reading on a college level since the 6th grade. But don't downplay me. I hold knowledge. I'm like a sponge. I remember what I read before I remember what I ate. I will remember a book before I remember where I put my car keys last night.
Man, you interested in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like motherfuckers told us one shit worth reading. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like me, I love reading.
Hell yeah.
Different books. I love showing people I could read. It was all type of shit going down. But it was the fact that they only wanted you to read fairy tales. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like, once you get into that real shit, it's like, wait. This really happened?
But Suave,
What the
even
fuck I've
reading
been reading about the bees?
Suave, even when you read fairy tales, it's still an imitation of life. Because when you read about dragons, you reading about the lizards that used to live back in the day. That's how my
Mm-hmm.
curiosity in the real started from reading fairy tales because I knew that books and movies and TV shows are just an imitation of life and what the fuck went on, what the fuck we done found out
Mm-hmm.
about, what's being theorized is out there. So if you use your fairy tales to go back and look, so you take Cinderella for instance. You can go back in Cinderella and find the original version of Cinderella. You'll find a version in Chinese, Japanese, English, Dutch, French, and all of those got different aspects of the cultures at that time and what they was doing and what they was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Them fairy tales will take you back to a time where you can find out how dinosaurs really looked like, what they really are. Dinosaurs ain't shit but dragons and shit that we think ain't real.
And that's what I said in my debate with Domo. I debated was dragons real before the invention of the word dinosaur in the 1900s. Dinosaurs were called dragons.
Thank you.
When you go to the museum, and see a dinosaur, that motherfucker said dragon up under it.
Thank you. And what you think a pterodactyl is, my guy? What the fuck you think a pterodactyl is? A flying dragon, bitch. That's all it
A
is. You got
flying
air
lizard.
dragons and you got sky dragons. You got water dragons too, because what you think the Loch Ness monster
Yep,
is? That shit is based
yep.
off something real. What you think the megasaur the what's that the megalodon shark is? A
The
fucking water dragon.
megalodon.
Yes, it's
Shit,
a
look at a
fucking water.
giant. Look at the what is it called? The Magnus squid or some
The
shit like
giant
that.
squid, hell
Man,
yeah. That guy ain't nothing but a water dragon. Every bro, when you look at animals, we understand adaptation, right, y'all? Do y'all understand basic science and what's it called? Evolution and adaptation. An animal or a person would develop certain skills or certain parts of the body in order to survive in the habitat that they in. That's how we got polar bears with white fur and shit. Come on now. It ain't nothing but an evolution of a dragon. It
hmm
ain't nothing but an evolution of some shit from years ago, eons ago. Shit we ain't never seen before.
man, it's a handicap down before 100.
And that's the shit they really hiding from you. The understanding of knowing that some of this shit that you believe is false as fuck, or some of this shit that we read is actually true as fuck, and or an imitation of the life that they live, but they want y'all to think it's just fairy tales. That shit unrealistic. Come on now.
Yeah, that's why I say nothing is ever made up, just exaggerated, I guess. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? But that shit come from somewhere. Shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Shit,
Yeah,
dragons
that's
might not. The real
fine.
dragons might not be able to breathe fire, but they can fly like a pterodactyl, though.
No, I got proof that there was fire breathing dragons because real talk, there's an insect that has two chambers in it, and they hold two different liquids, and they squirt them out at the same time. That's their self defense, and it burns, and it
Hmm.
burns. They got the liquids inside of them, but when they get attacked, they'll squirt that shit out,
And it
and when it
burns.
combines, it burns. It's
Hmm.
another ant that explodes. It explodes and burns the other person. Like these are abilities that cells have.
Yep.
Everything is made out of cells. Move. And cells have the ability to do these things. So when we're talking about breathing fire, it's nothing but just and I
The
forgot, was it a
explosion of
crocodile?
cells.
It was yeah, it was a skeleton of a dragon dinosaur, and they said it had two what they call it um
Two
damn
esophagus.
cavities.
Oh.
Two no, it was like two chambers. It had
Oh.
two chambers in its skull, and they said it was a replica of like the insect that holds the two different liquids. But then when he squirts it out and he combines, it burns. It fucking burns. So that I look at that as a fucking fire breathing dragon.
Thank
You
you.
know what I'm saying? Like that shit is possible as hell. People just don't really understand just how fucking amazing and weird and sick, biology is, man. Some shit happens out there. I mean, look, you got motherfucking animals grow back limbs,
Mm-hmm.
change
Starfish.
sex. You know what I'm saying?
Seals.
Yeah, like nigga, it's some shit out there. It's some shit out there. And you talking about
Hell
like the
yeah.
tardigrade. The tardigrade can survive anywhere, even out of space.
Roaches can survive radiation, something man created. Come on now. That ain't shit but a tiny dinosaur, bitch.
Not a tiny one.
Man, a tiny dinosaur.
Yeah.
Because how we can squash it with our foot, but they shell hard enough to avoid certain chemicals. Come on, bro. That's a tiny dinosaur.
Man, it's just proportions, man. It's some weird shit. It's some jiggy shit out there, man.
And then
People need to
sometimes even when
understand.
you hit a roach with something, it don't even die for you. Come on now, that's a dinosaur. Dragon
So
food. That's
that's a
a tiny.
motherfucking dinosaur.
Man, I'm too high for
Alien.
this. Cause that's a tiny dragon. And the little water bugs that fly and shit, tiny dragons. Ladybugs,
Ain't it?
tiny dragons.
You say what you want to, but they here.
Man,
They
what?
definitely here. Look at a
Dragonflies. What
butterfly.
you think a dragonfly food? What do you think that shit is? A tiny fucking dragon. That's why it's called a
Dragon.
dragonfly.
Ain't it? They call it the dinosaur fly. Because that
Man.
was the fly that was around with dinosaurs and shit. But
Mm,
like, look at the butterfly. That motherfucker like builds a cocoon and turns itself into liquid, and then reconstructs itself into a butterfly. Nigga, you ain't supposed to be able to
Suave,
do
hold
that
on.
shit.
Suave, hold on. Do you know who the word sport battlegrounds is?
Yeah, that's Yo Yo. That's my big bro. Shout
Why
out
he
to Yo
saying
Yo
all this
Escobar.
inappropriate stuff on this shit?
I don't know what he said.
First he said VD and STD shorty breathe fire for real. Then he said and men private parts are tiny arms. Like why
He
he
being pseudo.
no,
He
shush your
being
mouth.
pseudo.
We not talking about
Shout
that.
out to Yo Yo.
We talking about motherfucking dragons.
Let me see the chat.
On
My
God.
shit ain't
No
even
back
loading.
Nobody said, "Well, fuck my head up," is when they told us we actually don't know the colors dinosaurs are, and we are basically guesstimating. And I was out here thinking all dinosaurs were green for real. How, and the thing about it is, how all dinosaurs gonna be green when animals have the ability of camouflage. Whatever environment that animal is, that's gonna be the color of their skin. So it ain't no way in hell that
Yeah,
all
they got all type of it.
green.
Just like any lizard, you got green, brown, tan. You know what I'm saying? Yellow, orange, red. Yeah, and no
Hell
telling what them shit is. And just like flamingos, flamingos get their color from what they eat.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, even humans, like if you eat a bunch of carrots, you get an orange tinge. Your cells do something with that. So
Yep.
yeah, you just gotta understand shit.
If you take a whole
Yeah.
bunch of cough medicine, you can get a blue tinge on your skin. Or not a cough medicine, it's that motherfucking what's that gel you put on your teeth? Cortisone gel. If you put a whole bunch of that stuff on your teeth back there, like you having toothache, but you can't get to the dentist. If you use it too much,
Oh yeah, I remember the dude turned himself blue. This
mm-hmm.
nigga turned himself, was it blue or silver or something? Yeah, yeah, I saw that shit. This
Because of
nigga
the
turned
chemical
himself
bond
blue.
up in that shit.
Mm, that shit fire.
Hell yeah.
That shit
And
fire.
think about it. We have the ability to turn ourselves blue based on a chemical combination within some medicine that we
Hmm.
use on a regular basis. Come on now, and you really think we ain't we can't do certain things like, and we have the most brain
Hmm.
activity out of every animal.
Yeah, and still only utilize how much of our brain?
Ain't it
10 to
like 10%?
15%, some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You really think
I'm
you
gonna
can't
say all
unlock those?
that.
That's where you get geniuses from, and pseudo and
That's where you
philosophy.
get mutants from, ain't it?
Not a mutant. But
Yeah, that's where you get
when you
mutants
think about
from.
geniuses, though, they use more than just 10 and 15% of their brains. When you think about the philosophers from back in the day and the philosophers, they're using more than just 10 and 15% of their brain. When you're talking about scientists that are learning about the brain and how to make people use more than 10% of their brain, it's just the average person uses 10 to 15. Not everybody, the average person.
Mhm. The scientists they don't even know what the rest of the brain is. They say you got junk DNA
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know what that shit is, and you got what they call it. They don't call it junk matter, but basically the same shit, like a useless part of your brain. Like what? You
Mm-hmm.
goofy.
Hell yeah.
Scientists is saying this junk DNA, like that just show you like if you can't do nothing with it, it's trash, nigga. That shit there for a reason. That shit
Hell
definitely there for a reason.
Hell yeah.
Man,
But
appreciate
if
it,
the matter in
Moonflower. I'm
my
finna
body ain't there
dip
for
out.
a reason, why is it the earth is it exactly the right measurements for us to be able to live on it? Come on, they sit there for something. Either y'all don't
Yeah,
want us
that's
to
a
know or
fact.
you just don't know.
Or I don't know, bro. It's real deep. But we gonna get it. Um, I'm finna move it out. Love yo, you already know, man. Shout out to everybody, man. Appreciate this conversation, Moonflower. Hold it down, man. Keep it up, man. Shout out to you. Thanks for
Thank you
inviting me. Man, you already know, and we gone. Appreciate you, sis. Peace.
for peace. But yeah, yeah, that conversation was good. That's what I've been wanting to talk about because okay, let me see. Let me see. What can I do right here? Can I remove it off the argument lead?